On this video, I want to give you a little bit of an introduction onto how FlyWP, using their control panel and all of their options, allow you to pretty quickly solve many common WordPress errors, including out-of-memory errors, some PHP config errors that might be causing some issues, being able to restart the web server per site easily and quickly without affecting all of the other sites on a server. And then also using the WordPress configuration editor to look at some of those options there, figure out which plugin is causing, for example, a fatal error, and then using the file manager to actually go in and try and solve those errors. So let's dig into that next, and I'll show you kind of a really good overview of how to quickly solve a lot of these WordPress errors using FlyWP. See you there. All right, so in this video here, I'm going to show you first a couple of things on this site where you can actually go in and if in WordPress you're getting some sporadic errors that kind of show up, you're not sure what's causing them, they kind of go away, maybe internal server errors, it's usually 500 internal server errors. There's also like 503s, there's 429 errors, there's all kinds of different basically server level errors that are usually caused by quite a few things that you can easily adjust within FlyWP. So the first one I want to kind of highlight is being able to go into a certain website that's causing you some issues. They've got a fix permissions button here, and that can fix a lot of issues where there might have been weird permissions on certain files. You're going to get some permissions errors on your WordPress site or within a certain screen, and things aren't acting quite right. So that's a nice quick fix there. A lot of other times you'll get errors where it's not exactly acting correctly, especially on WooCommerce sites or some e-commerce sites where it's using a lot of memory. A lot of sites where they're using a lot of database connections and it actually exhausts the database connection. So I want to quickly highlight one way to try and solve those is by restarting Docker or restarting PHP. Those clear out a lot of those connection issues, a lot of out-of-memory issues. You could restart Nginx as well, and it's really cool because it always confirms for you, yes, I want to restart Nginx. Takes a couple of seconds. And remember, in FlyWP, this is per site. So you're not rebooting the entire web server where you may have 5 or 10 or, even 50 websites on one server, and it's bringing them all down and then having to spin them all back up and watching your server load spike because it has to handle all of that and reestablish all of the connections and all of the caching that was already in place. This is per site with FlyWP. You can also restart the PHP basically module or service, and that clears out a lot of PHP memory or connection issues there. One cool thing is if you go into the settings, you can look at your PHP settings and kind of troubleshoot that at a kind of, it's per site here. But one thing to look at, make sure your memory limit is not set to lower than like 256. I would even recommend for e-commerce sites, don't go lower than 512. Make sure your max execution time is probably at least 60 seconds, but maybe even 120, maybe 180. I've even gone up as high as 300. For certain sites that are processing a lot of data on the back end and may take a long time to actually do that. As long as your server is quick enough, those things should be able to execute cleanly, but it still may take some time for that stuff to actually be processed. So increasing the max execution time is very helpful. Max files is probably good to increase these things to like file upload size here, input time here, and then some sites recommend 3,000. I've even seen some sites that recommend 5,000, and some heavy sites recommend 10,000 input vars. There's not a real good reason to keep it very low. It's just a maximum number of input variables that can be processed kind of in one request at one time. And if that's too low, you will get sporadic errors on your site here as well. And then the process manager type, these are all kind of quirky, sort of, I don't know, engineer or developer type options. I would leave those kind of alone, but at least make sure they're set similar to this. If you do see in the logs that you get a lot of max children reached limits, you can always increase this up a little bit. Starting servers is 2 is great. Minimum spare of 1 is fine. And then max spare, 3 is probably pretty good. So that gives you a range. I'm going to start with 2. I'm going to have 3 ready to go at one time, but I can spin up to 10. And it handles all of that kind of dynamically here, as you see on the settings. Also make sure you've got PHP OPcache enabled, and in PHP, I think it's 8.0 and higher, the just-in-time compiler can greatly improve your site speed as well. So make sure you save those changes there. Those should take effect right away. But again, if you have any questions about that, you can always just restart the PHP service and make sure that those are now cleanly implemented and the site is running pretty nicely with those changes in place. So that's one way to solve some sporadic memory or connection issues that you'll see within WordPress. And FlyWP allows you to do all of that right within the dashboard here. It gives you full control over kind of all of that kind of good stuff. The other thing I want to show you is more of a site level error happening and how to kind of troubleshoot that, detect what's going on, and solve that actually using FlyWP and the options that they give you in here. So if you'll see, I click visit site, and this site, there's been a critical error on this website, and most people at this point are freaking out. They're like, what went wrong? I didn't do anything. I don't know what's changed. A lot of time this can be caused by a plugin or a theme. Very rarely WordPress core, but usually a plugin has been updated and they did not check the plugin thoroughly enough, like on all the different versions of PHP or whatever. And on your particular configuration here, there is a critical error on this website. So what do you do at this point using FlyWP? Well, the first thing you want to do when you have this message on any WordPress site is quickly go into WP config and enable debug mode. Also make sure it's displaying PHP errors. Make sure that's enabled as well. And then save changes. And then what you want to do is be able to go back to this website and hit reload. And now, because you've enabled debug, it gives you the very specific error message causing the problem. This is a PHP error, call to an undefined function named this is a bug, and which plugin is causing it. It's the plugin that is in the plugins folder named Akismet and akismet.php. Now, there is no error in Akismet. I created this error myself to sort of show you what it looks like when there is a error. And this actually allows you to nail down, oh, I've got an error with the Akismet. Let me go fix that real quick. One way to fix that very easily is by going into the file manager. Since you can't access WordPress, you do have the file manager here inside of FlyWP. You go into the plugins folder, or maybe that error showed you it was the theme folder and there's a theme name. For a plugin, what you can do really quickly just to be able to kind of solve this is rename that folder to, let's call it Akismet-out. Now, once you've renamed the folder on the server hard drive, WordPress then compares all of the folder names, which ones are marked as active. And if that folder no longer exists, what'll happen is when you hit reload, suddenly your website is back up and working just fine because you've renamed that plugin. And let me show you on the back end, what that means is when you click on plugins, it deactivated it because that plugin folder that was marked as activated no longer exists. So now this is a different plugin that is named Akismet-out, not the plugin that was active before. And it doesn't know the difference, but it does know to deactivate that plugin without you having to do anything on the back end. It already does that. And then when you hit the plugins page, it actually tells you, hey, we did deactivate that plugin because that folder no longer exists. And your critical error is solved. Your site is back up pretty instantly. Now, if that plugin is critical to your site, you need to do some more steps to like get it working again. See if there's another update now that it's deactivated. If there's another update that will fix that plugin and that kind of stuff. The other option you can do is actually look at that error message that was happening and figure out, oh, that was in Akismet. And let's put this back to what it was. Now, if you do that, you rename it to out, and then you reload the site, and it's deactivated, and then you rename it back. Now it's back to normal. It's just in a deactivated state. And with that error, it won't let you activate it now because there is a fatal error in that plugin. So let me show you one way to solve that kind of thing. If you're a little more brave or technical savvy, you can actually go to that plugin file that it mentioned in the fatal error. Go to that line number. And this is what I added to kind of break the plugin to demonstrate this fatal error. You can actually comment this line out. In PHP, a comment is just 2 slashes for one line. You can actually, delete it, whatever you want to do there. And oftentimes that particular line may be not important, may have a logic issue, maybe a different version of PHP works and this version does not, that kind of stuff. But I'm going to just comment that out just to show you when I update that file now. I've edited the plugin to kind of solve that critical error. And then when I go back on the back end here and I hit reload, I can actually click activate now. And now that plugin works again just fine because we've taken care of that critical error. And all that was done in the FlyWP dashboard without having to go into the the command line interface through SSH or anything like that. Without having to log into your provider and do something on the provider, and even without having to restore from backups or contact FlyWP support or your provider, support for your server, because it's not a network issue, it's not a hardware issue. This is all within the FlyWP sort of environment, and it's all within your actual control and your actual configuration of the site that you can actually take a look at and dig into. So I think I've given you a good overview of how to fix memory and connection issues using the PHP options or restarting those containers to see if that helps. And then actually how to fix some WordPress fatal errors on the back end by renaming the plugin, or actually going in and editing the plugin files using the file manager that gives you direct access to those plugins and themes and everything to be able to kind of troubleshoot that stuff. And the big one that I really like is being able to, from here, without having to do anything special, being able to enable debug mode. One thing I will say, make sure you disable debug mode when you don't have any errors. You don't want any notices or warnings showing up on the front end, which they will if you leave that enabled. And that one maybe as well. And so kind of turn those off when you don't need them. But now you can come in here, easily enable both of those, and then see exactly where that error is. Go and rename the plugin folder and get your site back up right away. That is 95% of the issues I see on WordPress is being able to do that simple thing is great for a lot of site owners. And you can do that right within FlyWP here very quickly, as you saw. So I hope you enjoyed that, how to kind of troubleshoot WordPress errors, fix some fatal errors pretty quickly and easily, and all within FlyWP. I'll see you on the next video.